So this is a full tray of lettuce which I sowed quite recently. It's looking rather lush, and as we all know, lettuce is usually or susceptible to slug damage. So are lots of seedlings. But look how many crates of seedlings I have here. We have lettuce, we have calendula, we've got cabbage, we've got alizum, we've got borage, we've got more cosmos over here and more cabbage, and then we have some more lettuce. And everything is doing rather well, exception for this one lettuce that has been eaten by slugs. And this one lettuce is in the middle of this crate, and it's the only one out of everything here that you're seeing that has been eaten by a slug. I don't use slug pellets, I just use the grit, which I always talk about, which, bear in mind, doesn't keep the slugs off, because as you see, we have a lost lettuce. And I don't use like any chemicals to try and like get rid of the slugs. I do have ducks, although they don't come up here because obviously the ducks would also eat my lettuce. And people have this thing where they're like, oh, I need to put slug pellets down. And then you're putting it into food that you're growing, and then you in turn are eating that slug pellet, and God knows what's in that. And if you do have wild birds in the garden and you're using slug pellets, well then, they don't always work instantly. So the slug still moves on before it actually dies. And then the bird's eating that, and then that's in the bird's stomach, and then it's going through that whole food chain, and then whatever eats the bird, and so on. And you get the idea. So it's just an environment killer. And I've always said this. Slugs are kind of like dung beetles out in the African plains. They're only interested in unhealthy plants that were going to die anyway. This lettuce was clearly just unhappy. Why would the slug go all the way to the middle of the crate when it could have ate one on the outside of the crate? It could have ate the whole crate. It could have ate all of these crates. But this was the only unhappy lettuce out of all of these seedlings. And these lettuce were ones that were actually pricked out, so it probably just didn't come out with either enough root run, or it just was never going to do. And that's the way you have to look at it. It's not the slug's fault. The slug has a function, the slug needs to eat, and the slug is only identifying waste. That's how it sees it. It only identifies a plant that was going to die anyway, dead disease dying, the slug cleans it up, it leaves everything else that's fine and healthy. Simple.